Board.
All right, I'd like to call to order the January 18th, 2024 meeting of the Monona Community Media Committee. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from our last meeting, which was back in November 9th?
So moved.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
I said,
Second. Will, did you get that?
I did get that. Yep.
Are there any corrections, additions at all that we need to make to the minutes as they are there? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the minutes as presented? Aye, fantastic.
Aye.
All right. Moving on to the agenda for tonight. We've got, we have no appearances. Some ongoing business involves the newsletter and the Monona Go app. So when it comes to newsletter, we just want to get some regular, just general updates, perhaps something from Amanda in terms of anything new to share about readership. And if the answer is no, that's fine too. But if you have anything, just go right ahead.
Yeah, I haven't looked at the metrics recently, but because this was pushed back, the newsletter you sent it Wednesday. So usually we have this meeting a week before the newsletter goes out generally.
Yeah.
So for this month, it was kind of flip-flopped.
That is true. That's a good point. Yeah.
But I
By
have
the way-
seen, I feel like the subscriber is now over 1,000 when I go in there and click on, send to all. The subscriber list is at like 1,013 or something. So that's good. It's going up.
That's wonderful. I have to say this month's newsletter is jam-packed. It was fantastic.
And we didn't even have any development in there. I noticed when we sent it, nobody really put any development in there.
Lots of stuff going on. Really a great effort. So there's that. I'm going to move on then to number 5B, which is just promotions and branding. And under this category, we've got something that we've already talked about, which is sort of the poster that Lois is putting together. And then something that we've started to talk about, which is branding. In other words, just the overall design of the newsletter. How can we make it more appealing? Any ideas that you have? So why don't we start with Lois, and the two of them are all, of course, going to go hand in hand because ultimately we probably want the posters to mimic the branding that we land on. So, but for now, Lois, what do you got?
So I have not had much time to get a ton done with the new poster. I didn't get a lot of feedback from anybody else either. I think I sent it out. I may have forgotten to do that, and that is my bad if I did. So mostly it's the same stuff that we kept from last time. And my computer's gonna be slow, so I'll pull that up if you would like to see it. And
If
we
you
can
have
talk
the
about it
ability
again.
to just email it now, would you mind doing that? I don't know if you have everyone's email address, or maybe email it to Will and Will can get it to everyone, or whatever's easiest. Or if you could share your screen or whatever you feel is best, Lois.
I can email it to everybody and I can share it as soon as it pops up here.
Okay, sounds great. Sounds great. Yeah, when it comes to branding, I just feel like, the old field of dreams, if you build it, they will come. And we've done a really good job at building the content. And now we build, the beautiful package, we make it a little more visually appealing, and it's just going to set it over the edge. So it's fantastic. While we're waiting for that, I'm just going to hop ahead, just in the interest of time. I'm going to hop ahead to the Monona Go app. And while we're waiting for, the content of the newsletter ideas, if you have your phone handy and you just want to open the app so that you have it open while we are discussing the app, that might save us some time. And it just, I'm gonna get that ready. You interrupt me whenever you have your stuff ready, Lois. You just interrupt me. We have so much good content on this phone app right now that we're getting to the point where we may want to consider ways to organize the content. Good job, Bill. watching the basketball game. It's excellent. So we have so much content on the app that it's probably time to start, you know, take a step back, evaluate how far we've come, evaluate what's working, what might be improved, and think about within the limits of what's possible, are there things that we could do to improve the user's experience with the app? You know, is there organization? Is there naming or thumbnails? And of course, there are limits. You know, it's not a super fancy, you know, app that we've paid a lot of money for. And we'll be able to, you know, talk about what those limits are. But just thought just to get your wheels spinning. How we doing, Lois? Still no good? Yeah.
Yes, I got it pulled up now.
Okay, go ahead and share the screen with us, please.
Okay, let's see if okay, I can't share because the host
Yep,
is
here we
disabled.
go.
Oh, we'll do it. The host, yeah.
Okay, now you should be able to.
Great, thank you. Okay. Okay, you can all see it now?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, great. So I know we talked about changing the light blue color to make it more visible. So I switched that one from the My Monona newsletter. We changed that one to a dark blue instead of light blue. And then I put an outline around the G and the O, and then like a small outline on the section there to make it a little bit more defined. I didn't get a chance to rewrite a lot of the text, as I have to admit college applications have been absolutely chaos for me. So this is, I know there's a few other things we talked about. This is one I want to change the font of the Keep Up with Monona, but other than that, I am good with whatever people
keeping you connected wherever, whenever.
One small thing, just based on what we started with the Monona Go app on the phone, is there's no space between Monona and Go.
Sounds good. I can change that.
Yep. All right. So we've got VMO, the newsletter, the app, the AV Club, all these ways to keep connected and keep up with Monona. Google Play, App Store. Very cool. And the idea is that we would post these posters around town and people would just walk up to them, scan the QR code.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go actually and get some better descriptions for WVMO, because I know that we talked about actually taking the branding that you've already done for that. So that's text that I've got to change, but yes, other than that, this is what I would have had if I had had more time to edit it.
Yeah, Lois, I just don't know. I think you need to get your priorities straight. I mean, how important are college applications anyway? Really? I mean, come on. Yeah, I'm blown away that you were able to do as much as you've done. So please don't apologize. Can you repeat what you just said about the VMO font? I'm not sure I understood.
So we talked about using text that WVMO has already written on their site and everything for this section here, instead of just stuff that I had written. So I've just have meant to go back and get that text.
Keep Up with Monona. I like that. I wouldn't want to make any final decisions tonight. I want to make sure we have the full committee able to chime in. We've got some, you know, true professionals on this committee that are going to have excellent feedback that we want to consider. Overall, any first impressions or thoughts? I know this is the second time we've seen it. I think all the changes look good. What do other people think?
I am wondering, just because you're talking larger brand scheme, is like we use Georgia for the newsletter and then posting on the app in this flyer. That's not. I'm just noticing against the three, it's not consistent. Not saying that's right or wrong, or I don't even know what our options are.
I think that's the exact sort of thing that we should be thinking about, Amanda. I mean, that's consistency. Yeah. So
I can totally change all of this to Georgia if you want, and I'll pull that up and I'll change that for when I send it out to everybody.
I don't know if it matters that we use Georgia. It just matters that we use the same font. unless
Mhm.
there's a real preference for Georgia, maybe there's some benefit that I'm not aware of.
I mean, it'd be easier to only have to change one thing.
Sure, sure. Um,
There's never been a preference, big thought. There was no thought process that went into the newsletter other than it was during COVID when the last media producer was here, Sam, and she was great, and she got the newsletter going, which is what she did in West Bend that when she worked there. And I said, great, I've never done a newsletter. You've done it, make it happen. She made it happen. Everybody thought it was great, and off we went. So there isn't any forethought into the newsletter other than calling it My Monona News. Period, really, as far as design, layout, what it should be, how it should be, you know. Just so you guys know, it wasn't like this is something that,
yeah,
you know, council voted on, the city
Right.
staff got together and said, this is what we need to, none of that.
right.
I would ask if, I know that Got FOMO it's appropriate for this, because that is what we're trying to promote, is a fear of missing out on things, but is that widespread? Is that term commonplace now that everybody would understand what that means?
I can't speak specifically for that. I know that a lot of people my age do know the term, but I can't
what
specifically tell you that.
Well,
That's what I think, yeah, what our audience is versus, I don't know.
well, that's what I was
I'm
just
just
gonna
curious.
say. Maybe we don't have to get caught up, and this is the only newsletter, the only pamphlet we ever
Sure.
put out, and we're putting this out everywhere.
Right.
Because I agree, I think we hit on a perfect point. There's gonna be different audiences, and when we put this up in the library, some people will know, many others won't. If we put it up in the senior center, we will confuse people. So, there is certainly a point taken there. Even though it's great, like Lois said, I know what it is. A lot of people know what it is.
Yeah.
Some audiences won't, and maybe we're just gonna have to tweak this design for the different audiences.
Sure.
That would be my thought.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Dave, are you thinking does more good than bad? More cons than pro?
No, no, I think it, I mean, it works. It is what it is. I just think maybe as we move along, we may want to evolve, that being a header or a phrase or a graphic that sort of ties all of this together. Like it's not right now it's just a general statement we're using. Maybe there is an overarching header that sort of communicates what is all this about. I don't have that particularly in mind of what that could be, but that would be something I could give more thought to, or if that makes sense.
I thought about the same thing, got FOMO. I was wondering if that phrase is sort of like past. I was thinking the opposite. I was thinking that it's sort of like it was popular 2-3 years ago and it's no longer a thing, but maybe I'm wrong. My other thought was, it could be helpful to introduce something that's sort of like known by many, but not all, because that in and of itself creates FOMO. People are like, what does that mean? I got to find out what that means. I have FOMO of FOMO. I mean, it's like you, and the seniors will be like, oh, learn something new, or whoever, I don't, yeah. I think it could work in all good and bad manners. And the font, I don't know if this was intentional, but it reminds me of the old gotten milk, you
That
know?
is intentional. We
Okay,
like searched,
yeah,
I
yeah,
searched for it and tried to find it. I
yeah.
can also make another one that has gets rid of the got FOMO header and just says keep up with Monona as the header.
I mean,
And then we can do
I-
the two.
I don't know. I'm okay with it because I mean, I am not the one I'm not the decider, but I think there's benefit of I don't know. My only thought in as far as like a technical thing, and the grammar people will have to tell me at the very bottom, should there be a period after the word whenever?
Yes,
way
there
that-
should be. That got
Okay, I
deleted
wasn't sure.
somewhere.
Okay, that sounds good. All right.
Yes, it would be nice if the city had something already put together that would work well up on the top of the page. And I know that's not an answer to anything, or it's just you know, because we are trying to, we're basically building this sales pitch in this committee on all the, you know, media touch points that we have, and we haven't really done this before, and the city doesn't really have any tagline or anything like that. And some people like the logo, some people don't. So I like keep up with Monona. Yeah, I'm just I also wonder, does it, our thought is to make this and just stick it everywhere and anywhere we can.
Within the city of Monona.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Is it silly? I don't know. What if one of the FOMO O's would become the same kind of O that you see in VMO? Like within the word FOMO is Mo, which is also like an abbreviation for Monona. People call it Mo, like a lot of times I've seen it abbreviated. So I don't know. I'm kind of like throwing ideas out there, but
From the standpoint of the main content,
I don't
I
know.
like it.
Also, just another clarifying question that I just thought about. Right now, it's set up, sorry, it's set up as an 11 by 17 poster.
Saw that.
Do you want that to be like just a sheet of paper, so 8.5 by 11, or TV size? Do you have a specific size you're thinking of?
Good question.
Or I can do multiple pretty easily too.
I don't know the answer to that question, but in addition to a standardized paper size, we would also want somehow to capture this in a graphic that is easily usable on Facebook, Instagram, and other social media.
I can redesign
Yeah.
it so it can fit
Yeah.
for social
So
media.
in a size that's for digital and as well as a size for printing. But for printing, is there a cost benefit for going with one size over another?
I would assume 8.5 by 11 is cheaper.
Easier. Mm-hmm.
Are you anticipating like professionally printing a bunch of these, or people running them out of a laser printer in somebody's office, or what's the production?
What do we got in our budget?
Well, and I'll tell you the reason I'm raising it is because if people are just if I'm gonna print this out at home off of my printer and I can do an 8.5 by 11,
Right.
that would be really easy. But
Right.
these bleeds that you have where you've got color running from one edge of the design to the other, they're not going to bleed when you print it out on your home printer.
Mm-hmm.
So there's going to be white at the edge. That's just a kind of a minor design consideration. But if you're going to have them professionally printed, then you can get the bleeds if that's important.
I think we should have them professionally printed. What I mean, No? Yeah? What would
I
you-
don't know. How
Yeah.
many are you thinking of putting up and where are you gonna put them? How many do you need? What does it cost to get, you know,
Mhm.
100 things at Instaprints?
Probably not
we-
that expensive. I'm
Could
assuming.
could we have staff look into that? Or is there someone here who would like to look into that? Someone who's not Lois, that, so she can like go to college? Is there a
I
volunteer?
I can look into that.
Okay, that'd be fantastic, Dave. Thank you. And I was just over at Budget. I know there's other shops in town. I would recommend that we go with something either locally owned or union operated. That's probably a,
I think the radio station goes to Wisconsin Printing all the time.
okay, okay, all right.
But I've gone to Budget Signs.
Yep,
I've certainly gone to, if it's still there, right? Instaprints right next
Yep,
to
we can
the
certainly
school
do
district
something.
building.
Stay
Definitely
within
gone
the
there.
city of Monona, that would be nice, yeah. Okay, well, thank you, Dave, for looking into that.
You bet.
And then really though, we're really kind of down to final design opinions, right? At this point, am I understanding that correctly? And if so, I would say we can talk about this with the full group in front of us.
And I'll
Um,
send it out by email, and I'll make a few of the changes we discussed, send out a few different copies in different sizes, and then I'll get those out to everybody.
Thanks, Lois.
I just have a question about what copy you were gonna put in that WVMO blurb, because I was just glancing at the VMO homepage and I didn't see like a nice bite-sized nugget that stood out as being the
Yeah.
perfect thing for that. So have you seen something somewhere?
I
you
haven't.
were
I was just
thinking of
gonna take
using?
I was just gonna take the language and kind of mesh it to try to make a short blurb. There's not anything that's easily grabbable that I found quickly. I don't know if there's
Yeah, me
something that you
too.
would like to use.
No, I had the same reaction. I didn't see something that looked like it was ready-made. So whatever you wanna kind of cobble together from what you see there. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can either go the language of our station, which is community owned, locally programmed, volunteer driven, just good music, roots music, Americana music. Those are some standard verbiage.
Well, yes, and if there's room, I don't know how much space you're going to want to have, but putting in, I can squint and see what the 98.7 FM is, but that's
Oh yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
hard to read. Just making it more obvious.
I can
How
also tell
people,
you.
Yeah, can you
Oh,
just
sorry.
expand that one little line, Lois? The
Yes.
98.7? That'd be great.
This is 13 like that's the text size.
So
is
13 is pretty
pixels.
big when you print it out on
Yeah.
paper. Yeah, okay.
But you can make it bigger.
Yeah, okay.
since you can't really get too much information in here, I think more important than having any kind of branding or sales pitch kind of thing about why people should tune into WVMO, just make sure that you get in there really prominently how to tune in. So it's 98.7 FM on your radio dial or whatever
Yeah.
people do, but also that you can stream it live at WVMO.FM.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's for anybody anywhere that doesn't pick up the radio signal in their car or on their radio.
Yep. And then on the tune in app on your mobile device. I don't know. There's so many different radios. I think there's a lot of different apps for radio stations now. It's not just tune in. It was 10 years
And
ago.
I don't
when
know
the
what
station
I don't
started.
know what any of those apps are, or if anybody
Yeah.
has them, but the WVMO.FM is a URL that you can put in any internet browser and it comes up like a web page that you can listen to. So
Mhm.
anybody can use that, whether they've got an app or not.
Yep.
So
I
that's
think
actually
that- Yeah.
Oh, sorry. That's actually where the QR code sends you. It's directly to the WVMO page, which has all of the links in it. I'll put some of that text definitely in there, but
Mhm.
I do have that linked there.
Great, thank you.
So 98.7 on your radio or WVMO.FM on your internet browser.
Mhm.
Okay.
So then would the call to, instead of learn more, should it be listen
Yes,
Yeah.
that's good.
or listen?
Listen more. Yeah, I like that. Yeah. Google Play, watch here, subscribe here. Yeah. Listen, that could be great. Yeah, just get people listening right away. Is tune into, should that be tune in to? 3 words.
Probably.
Yeah, no worries. I mean, it's not language you may change it all
Yeah.
together anyway, but yeah, okay.
Save early, save often.
When we
point.
get this document emailed to us, we can all print it off and see what it looks like printed,
Mhm.
because right now it might be kind of difficult to understand how small this text is really going to be, or how big it is. It might be bigger than we think once we print it off. It might be easier to read.
I'm
And I'll
also,
rearrange it in 8.5 so that you can actually print it. Sorry, Will.
Yes.
no,
Yeah.
no, go ahead, please.
No, that was it.
Oh, I was gonna say maybe it would also, I would like to see the Got FOMO in just black ink with all white background and just see, I know the black background makes it pop, but I would
Mhm.
just like to see what it looks like that way in quote unquote a cleaner, like everything's the same background. And we can do it now. Yeah, I mean you can do it now. I meant more so you could do it and send out to a version, but yeah, maybe it's better.
It's a little lighter is what you're thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, just a little easier on the eyes to keep everything kind of clean. I don't
I'd
know.
actually probably put it in blue to keep this dark blue
I
and
don't
move
think
it.
so.
But
I think the black is fine. I think the black is fine. Unless you want to put black on the bottom, like black keeping you connected in black or wherever, whenever in black, whatever. Just for the purposes of us printing it at home on 8.5 by 11, we could probably just, one of the versions Lois puts together might just eliminate the Got FOMO at the top, just so that whatever you do, I think what we really need to see is the center. So maybe cutting off the top and the bottom could be an easy way just for us to understand how big the center text is.
Yeah.
And then when we do have it, if we are going to have it professionally printed, we can have that taller layout with everything that we see here in front of us. And yeah, okay.
Can I make
yeah.
a suggestion? And this is part design and part wordsmithing. The more I look at Got FOMO and I'm just kind of replaying everything that's been said about it tonight, I am a little concerned that it's either, Teresa, you thought that it might be kind of dated. I'm just concerned that it might be obscure, or not only that somebody might not understand it, but they might somehow misunderstand it and think it means something totally different. So what if we took the elements that we have in these headlines, and one of these, so we've got keep up with Monona, keeping you connected wherever and whenever. The one of those that I think is the most attention getting is keeping you connected. And I would suggest moving that all the way to the top in place of Got FOMO. And then take keep up with Monona and move that down to where keeping you connected is now. So the whole thing would read at the top, keeping you connected. And then we've got our 4 little blurbs here. And then under that, it would say, keep up with Monona wherever, whenever.
Okay, I can play with that. I'll see what that looks like.
I could go one step further. Why not just, I mean, if you want to reduce it even more, we could say keep whatever it might be, the keep up or keeping you connected at the top, but don't use the word keeping or keep again at the bottom. Just have the bottom could just be wherever, whenever, and the top could be keep up with Monona.
Teresa, I think that wherever and whenever has to have some text leading into it to be
Okay.
more meaningful. Otherwise, it kind of sounds like whatever, wherever.
Oh, okay. Okay. I see what you're saying.
In the know, on the go, wherever, whenever.
Yeah, I'm thinking about that too. Do we need, I would be in favor of taking away one of the keeps. Keep up with Monona, keeping you connected wherever, whenever.
I like the idea of having the Monona in one of the headlines just because this could, like, for example, if one of these gets hung at Musk Lounge and there's a bunch of people from Madison in it that maybe
That's
don't want to know
true.
about it's, I feel like it makes it more relevant, like, that maybe if you don't live in Monona, it doesn't make sense.
That's a really good point, Amanda. So what about keep up with Monona at the top and then at the bottom, is there anywhere on this document where it says anything about Monona Community Media? Do we say Monona Community Media is keeping you connected wherever, whenever? Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
I always struggle with Monona Community Media because it's such a weird phrase. Like, what does that, what does it mean? Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to,
It could be something to be really proud of. Like
I am proud of it, but I
you're
just
in
don't know if
Muskie
it's, I
Lounge,
don't know
you're
if it's the
drinking your,
brand. I don't know if it's the smell.
you got your $3 hams at Muskie Lounge or whatever it is, and you're like, man, that Monona, they've even got their own community media. Wow, I don't know.
If we could drop the community, I think that's like Monona Media.
Monona
That
Media.
sounds like a production company to me. That sounds like something that could catch on, but the community kind of stumbles it up. But
Well,
I've had 10 years to dwell on this, so I digress. Not dwell, but
Will,
to think about this.
that's a
Will,
fabulous
you're not
conversation.
wrong.
That's
Yeah.
a
Will,
fabulous conversation for another
Yeah.
meeting. Like, why don't we just call it Monona Media? Why not?
I mean, 10 years ago when I started, it was called the Monona Telecommunications blah 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 committee, and then it was called Monona TV or something. And I said, so it's on me. That's why I said I've had 10 years to be like, damn, why did I say that? And then I said, because it was kind of the catch phrasing of community stations at that time was to start calling yourself community media because everything was changing and everything was digital and TV, blah, blah. And I said, why don't we call it Monona Community Media? And I was in my honeymoon phase where he was like, oh, he's on board. He's brand new. And yes, let's do what he wants to do. And it stuck. And here we are 10 years later. So that's why it's called that. And now I wish I would have said Monona Media.
Talking about, yeah. But
or something else. Doesn't even have to be that, but
right. But if we're about to, I mean, we're entering into a big conversation about branding that's very fitting to ask.
I mean,
that
I
question.
almost sorry, I keep interrupting, but
okay.
Beatrix Pauley's dad, Scott Pauley, made the tent 10 by 10 tent for WVMO for like summer events. And I don't know how it happened. Maybe he just had the idea and I said, I'm going for it. And he put the logo, but instead of it saying Monona Community Media, it said Monona Public Media. And I was like, oh, I like that better. I was like, I even like that better because people know what public media is.
Do they?
Oh, it's kind of like public television, Wisconsin Public Television. But anyway, I mean, if we change it, I certainly wouldn't go that route, but I digress.
I'm not sure that's an inappropriate conversation to have. I guess
no, I'm all for it. If people want to go and change it, please, because I've wanted to do it for years.
Because you don't like so you're thinking like community media just has an outdated, old-fashioned feel.
Yeah. And I don't think people like what is community media? You're not really saying what it is.
Right.
Like I could say community television. I told you what it is. It's community and it's television. Community radio, it's community and it's radio. Community media, what is it? Community website, community blog post, community, what is it? And it's just it's hard to differentiate or kind of like sell yourself when it's just just now that we have like an app, a radio station, a newsletter, which the newsletter is more of like a full city thing. I don't, it's not necessarily a media outlet.
Should we put this on the agenda for next month to talk about
Sure.
changing the name from Monona Community Media to something else and what that would entail in terms of everywhere that phrase appears and the
Right.
expense? I don't know where, I don't know the degree to which.
Well,
the
yeah, I
change-
mean, is it Monona Communications? Was it, you know what I mean? Like, did we just, anyway, yes, I would love to
Okay.
get a bunch of ideas and start it because there certainly will be a long process. Because
Well, we
then
came
everybody's
up-
got to prove it. The mayor's got to like it.
Yeah,
Well, everybody's got to like it.
yeah.
so.
I'm confident this group came up with a killer name for the phone app. I have no doubt that we can have a good conversation about the name of the committee or the name of the
Oh,
the
absolutely.
community department, the department of the city. Yeah, okay. So for now, as far as this poster goes, I think Lois is going to put together some ideas. All of us can print it off. We can print it off, cut it up with the scissors, move the titles around, do whatever we want, make it look the way we like it, bring it back next time when we've got a larger group to run through some options. As far as the newsletter goes, and making that beautiful, we've talked already about the font that we use on the newsletter. How was that font chosen? Does it have to be that font? Is there a more contemporary that might give the newsletter a bit of a facelift or a bit of a contemporary feeling? We could think about that. Does the city have its own font that it is already using, like on their website? The photograph on the top, does it have to be that photograph? Do we want to use like the logo of the city? Do we want to really tie it in with the city? So those are some of the thoughts that come to mind when I think about changing the look and feel of the newsletter. What do other people think? And maybe you have the newsletter in front of you now, maybe in your inbox somewhere.
One thing that crossed my mind when I first saw the flyer is I love that little envelope graphic that you made, Lois, and I definitely could see that being on the header, even if we were to do like a photo with that on top of it or something. But I just think that's really cute. Like I like it.
I'm glad you like it. I can definitely pull that and as a separate logo and send it to everybody, so we can put it in places like that.
Well, if we do this, you'll probably be making the graphic that we use on the newsletter anyway, so.
Any other thoughts as you look at the newsletter? I'm just scanning through my email trying to find it.
Yeah, I am too. What would the from line be on the newsletter? I see city news, but that's just like one news item. That's not the
I
newsletter.
don't know how it's, let's see.
Try My Monona News.
The title of the January edition is 2024 January My Monona E-newsletter from City of Monona.
Yes, I was just going to say that it would have been sent from City of Monona. And it would be sent yesterday at 6:20 p.m.
Another thought that I have that we've been talking about that probably needs to get changed if we are going to do is like, I'm pretty sure this light blue with white text on it would not be accessible to those with color blindness. So we probably should like, we can still use light blue, but it just needs to be in like borders and things that you can still read the content without like graphic elements. So that's something that I know has been catching my eyes. I read it.
You know, there is a group in Monona, a visually impaired advocacy group, and I wonder if I don't know, does anyone think that how does that work? Or is that maybe a group that could take a look and offer their feedback? I'd be happy to
I'm
reach
never
out.
going about it that route through work. I mean, I think there are websites you can plug in
There are.
like codes and just determine what this, and it could be just shifting the blue like slightly, or if it's the city's blue, we don't touch it, but like we kind of change those two buttons on the top there. But
Yeah, there definitely are websites that you can run it through. And this really feeds right into our DEIB initiatives. We need to make Monona a place that's accessible to everyone. So, including the newsletter. So Amanda, do you know of websites that can be used?
now without just searching, but I'm sure it'll be
Okay.
easy to find. But it's more just like if we're going to make large changes to the way the newsletter looks, we probably should do it in one swing so that people aren't just like, oh, this month the font's different. This month the colors are, so it's like, okay, it's just refreshed on this day.
Yep. So can I put your name on that little to-do list, that little task that you're gonna look into, like some sort of programs that we can
Sure.
do that? Okay, sweet.
Bill, you had something?
I do. I don't know if this is within the scope of what kind of reactions or input you want, but this is more about the text and the writing, and the information in some of these things. As a reader and as a citizen, one of the things I always find frustrating in learning about something new and exciting that's happening in Monona is that it's at 4601 to 4613 Monona Drive, and I have no freaking idea where that is. I would like to see whenever there's a location given for a news item or something in here, some kind of a place reference that's easier for people to picture where it is. Because I think for all these apartment projects and other development things, most of them are at the intersection of two major streets. So if you said at the corner of Dean and Monona Drive, or on the site of the former and whatever we just tore down or something like that. Because otherwise, I mean, I kind of want to know, where is this new BMO branch? I mean, I know that because I follow it and know where it is, but anybody else would have to Google. Anybody else would have to Google the address and figure it out.
Are you saying you would like to be on my email for a reviewer? And when I send the draft to the mayor and Teresa, you would like to be included so you could, because I'd be happy to do that, because those are things that I don't catch, and that Anita gets sent whatever anyone sends her. So Doug Plowman, Brad Brune, whoever the police department sends her what they wrote, she puts it in a document, it gets copied over to the newsletter. Then I go through it and hopefully I find problems, but most of the times I don't. And Teresa and the mayor find problems, and the mayor clearly has her ideas of what,
bombarding your inbox with, oh, find a typo.
So I only say that not to be like facetious, but to say, if you want to be a part of it and say, hey, as a reader, here's what I like to see. I mean, I'm told I'll just add your email. I'll add your email on.
Yes.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Great.
I'd be happy to do that. That's what I did in my career for 15 years, and I worked as an editor who is really the reader's proxy.
And then why did it take so long to make this happen?
You're looking at this from the standpoint of somebody that's getting 50 or 150 or 500 emails a day and is trying to make sense of it. And yeah, I would definitely be part of that. Sure.
Great. Then consider it done for February.
This is fantastic. Before Bill even mentioned anything, I jotted down protocol for proofreading. Like, we should have one that is more rigid and known to everyone. And I admit I'm throwing things. Just this last round, I had, oops, I forgot something. You know, I threw a little change in there at the last minute. So there's the need for protocol. And we have such expertise on this committee that we should really leverage everybody. So Bill, I'm thrilled that you would be helping out with that.
And perhaps what I should do, because 3 people getting sent it and 3 people sending me feedback probably is going to be a mess.
I agree.
So maybe I will send it to you 2 first.
Or even to Bill first. I mean, I don't know. It's
Yeah, okay.
I have to be the first, but it depends what each person is looking for, right? I mean,
Right. Well, if Bill's looking at content and readability and user friendliness of people and easy on the eyes and kind of the sexiness of the newsletter, then
exactly.
and then you're looking at it saying,
Yeah.
okay, is everything lining up the way it's supposed to? Do we have all the stories that I think we should have in it? And
Does this
and
link?
this is getting
I'm
into
always checking. Yeah, I'm always checking
And
the
it-
links. Where does this link point to? When I click here, am I supposed to be taken here? Like I'm always doing that too.
And this is also, just so we know, this was never part of this committee ever. It was because the newsletter started and here we are.
Yeah.
So we're kind of doing this and there's no ordinance or anything within
Right.
the Monona Community Media description that even says we do this newsletter or that it's part of the purview of this committee. So everything you guys are doing is strictly volunteer. And so I personally appreciate it because otherwise, it's on me. I don't know where this goes forward in the future of Monona and its communications, but I mean, this is where we're at now. So I think we can make it up as we go. That makes sense. And then after you guys review it, the mayor gets the last look because she has a lot of ideas about what stories should go first and what the orders should be. And right.
I'm just
When I'm
thinking.
reading-
Oh, go ahead.
Excuse me, I have to go at 6 here, so.
Okay, Dave.
You gotta go to the bathroom?
Well, there's that and I have another engagement.
Excellent.
Okay,
Thanks, Dave.
Engaged.
thank you. Bye-bye.
I think
Bye.
Amanda had a question.
Yeah, I was just going to say that if we're having additional review or something as I'm building the newsletter, which Teresa, I'm really glad to hear that you're looking at links too, because that's one of the things I do while I'm building it is that sometimes you don't get good section header names, and trying to make them consistent where they are. Like if the sustainability committee generally has an update every month, like making sure that's the same where it can be. But then sometimes we have all these like random stories, but sometimes I'm just naming them while I'm building the newsletter. So if there's already people reviewing it before I get the content to build it, that would be something that would be helpful for
Actually,
me.
that's a great idea. Like we should
Amanda,
send the Google Doc to Bill so that Bill can look at the Google Doc and then be part of the original one to make sure everything transferred. But then once you get it, Amanda, Bill has already kind of said, okay, what is this? Let me format.
Oh. So before it
And-
even, because so far I've only seen, what I get is it looks like the newsletter. It looks
Yeah.
exactly like the newsletter.
No, what
But
Anita
you're
gets,
saying,
Anita gets an email. She copy and paste the email directly into a Google Doc.
Google Doc.
Either format's great or format's super funky. And then either they gave her a headline or they didn't give her a headline. And Amanda's coming up with it because there is no headline.
I bet Bill would be really good also at suggesting headlines, to like condense and summarize and, put a punchy
Well, it's more like
headline.
a section header than a headline, unless you want to change the way, because it's like for DEIB or
Section
sustainability
header,
committee,
right.
that's what it is. It's more of like a section header than like, this is the big headline,
Yep.
so people can skim and see, I always want to read this one section, or, there's the random ones that happen every month.
What
mean,
we
yeah.
need to be clear on though is whether we're talking now about kind of like crowdsourcing this content and having a bunch of people involved with writing headlines and copy? Or are we talking about doing what we're doing now, which is the people who are producing it? And what I was suggesting is at the back end, like at the end of the process, doing a final proofread and final edits. Whatever we decide to do, I mean, I don't want to complicate the production process, because the more folks you get involved with that, it does get a little bit nightmarish. We need to have a very clearly defined understanding of what we're asking people to do who are reviewers. The newsletter I did at UW, I would put it together, I'd write everything, and then I would send out a Slack message to 4 people. And the 4 people who were reviewing it would start replying individually. And it was just kind of a group back and forth process. And then when we get to the end, there's just kind of consensus that all the issues anybody has identified have been worked out. You couldn't do that starting at the front end, like with a blank, empty newsletter and having all half dozen reviewers say, okay, what are we going to put in the newsletter? I'm not suggesting anything like that at all.
Well, and
the
one
other thing that
go ahead.
The other thing that will help focus it and help make it not nightmarish to have a lot of people involved is to have the deadline clearly stated and understood, so that the deadline for the newsletter going out is not whenever everybody got around to reviewing it. It's like midnight tonight, we're hitting send. And if you have any changes, get back to us before that. I know some people are, have.
Well, that's what I was
ability
just going to
to-
say. And that's
Yeah.
in a perfect world, that's what we'd like to happen. Anita sends her email out and says Friday, end of day. And then, and then Anita and Amanda are going through over the weekend, working on the newsletter and sending it to me. Amanda usually sends it, correct me if I'm wrong, Sunday at some point. And then I open it up when I have time on Monday, or Tuesday if I don't have time Monday. And I go, okay, here's where we're at. And then I get more things on Tuesday because people don't send them in at the end of Friday. So either we start saying, sorry, too late, and then to make people not send things in late and quit being the nice department, which we can do, or, we'll continue to get people, oh, wait, we forgot about this. Oh, just, and I'm not saying that like negative Nancy, only saying that there's the process. So that's how it works. Anita sends an email on Friday, a week before the Wednesday it's due. By that following Friday, people finally get everything in. It's built over the weekend. Monday I come in, hopefully I have time Monday to look at it, and then Tuesday, and then by, because in the staff meeting on that Monday, because that's when it falls, I say, hey, the newsletter's coming out Wednesday. I'm giving you one last chance to get something in. I can quit saying that, and then nobody ever gets a chance and it's done.
Yeah, that last chance to get something in should have happened the week before. You shouldn't have to be.
And the week before was when it was sent.
Asking
so.
somebody to, yeah.
I can quit doing that. I mean, that's fine.
Well,
Unless you're scrounging for content and you really need something.
Well,
but-
sometimes it's low. I mean, and sometimes, to be honest with you, she's the mayor. She can do what she wants. She'll send it and say, oops, I forgot this, throw this in. And Neil's supposed to be getting you something, get that in. And that's just the way it goes. And so I can be harder on that. And I've been soft and amenable, and yeah, we'll get everything in we possibly need to get in, because that's what we do.
it's not
So
wrong.
after Anita puts it together, and then you see what Anita has put together.
Amanda puts the newsletter together.
I'm sorry, Amanda. Yep.
Anita
Okay.
just puts together everything she was sent in an email in a Google
Right.
Doc.
So when you get it, when you see it for the first time all put together, who else has to sign off on it before somebody hits send?
Mayor. At the end of the day, the mayor has to see it. You know, we can all do whatever we want to do, but at the end of the day, the way it's been since day one is she gets the final. I don't like this. I like this. Change this. Change that.
Okay. And in actual practice, who is looking at it now and having input? Is there a review process that takes place
It's
when
me.
you get the
I
finish?
get it.
It's you?
I check it out just to like go, okay, another set of eyes.
Mhm.
Is there anything that somebody told me already that they're going to send in that I'll hold off on and add myself? Is there any pictures that Anita and Amanda didn't have access to that I can add in? Then I'll send it to Teresa and the mayor.
Then all I'm suggesting, or all I'm offering, not to complicate this any more than it needs to be, is I'll be another set of eyes when you get it, and I'll look at things like, does anybody know where this address is or whatever? If it gets to be a more complicated issue that we need somebody else's input or reaction to, then we can, you know, try to have those conversations and try to do them quickly and expedite them. But really, I'm not talking about making changes that are going to cause somebody heartburn or change the meaning of a story or anything like that.
Right.
So Bill, you would come in when the mayor and the committee, the alder come in at the same time? So right now, Will is sending it to the mayor and to me. And are you just saying that you would be a third person that he would have eyes on it? Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's wonderful. What I also really appreciated this last go around is because there was so much content that Will actually sent it out again. He's like, okay, all of the feedback is in. Here is the final before it goes public. And I think I may have even caught one last thing that wasn't caught the first time around.
Right.
So that was kind of nice too.
Will, are you the person who ultimately hits send when it goes out?
Yeah.
Isn't that just the most awesome feeling? I just sent 1,000 emails.
It's awesome, and at the same time, I'm like, oh god,
terrifying. It's
I hope we
terrifying.
didn't
Yeah,
miss anything.
I know.
I sent 37,000 twice a week.
Oh, awesome.
One
And that's
thing
why
that
I don't put it up on the website right away. I don't archive it right away, because as soon as there might be a change and then we got to update it, as soon as I archive it, it's done and it's on the website. It's archived. You can't change the archive, you know? And there's been a few times where it's like, oh crap, that's supposed to say Tuesday. It said Wednesday. And yeah.
Folks, I just looked at the time. And I know that we meet from 5 to 6, and my apologies that we've run late. So we've got the starts of some amazing conversations to be continued in February. And this is exciting stuff. So thanks, everybody. Is there, I don't believe there's anything more on our agenda for tonight that we've not hit, but I just do want to make double sure of that. Unless Will would like to talk about, one thing about the Monona Go app. I'm sorry, my apologies. Will, you mentioned that soon you will be meeting with the app folks.
Yep.
And we just thought that if you wanted to send in your ideas to Will about ideas for how content could be laid out differently on the interface, you know, the way things are named. My suggestion was, do we want to begin with the date so that you always know which meeting you're watching? Or, you know, the most important stuff is not truncated. Is there a way that we can order it alphabetically or in another way? So just whatever questions you have, send them to Will, and then he'll be sure to ask those questions of the folks when they meet with Monona Go.
Yeah.
And then
So
we'll
like if you're
continue.
using it and feel things seem clunky, seems like they don't lay
Yeah.
out right, you don't really like the way it works works better
Yeah.
for me this way, just send it to me, because then I'll just
Anything.
start riddling him with questions, and either he's going to say,
Yeah.
we can do that, or no, we can't, but at least we'll have our answer.
Perfect.
I really like the simplicity. It's just really easy to find what you're looking for on there as it is.
I do too.
Just
Cool.
Fine. Quick reaction.
Is there anything you need to add quickly for staff reports, Will, or can we hold that for next
Yep,
meeting?
Yeah,
Okay,
I think we
great.
can hold it. There's nothing, it's pretty slow in the. winter.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
All right. In that case, I will take a motion to adjourn. From Bill, is there a second?
Second.
From Amanda, all in favor of adjourning our time together, say aye. Aye.
I
Great. All right. Meeting adjourned at 6:13. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.